markets have reacted positively is when the administration is in retreat from key policy areas. I want to say, given your successful past, isn't this embarrassing?
Is there a question there, sir?
There's a question. Isn't this embarrassing?
Oh, is it embarrassing? Well, I'm sorry, Congressman, but you seem not to have seen the economic data. The GDP growth has been quite substantial. Job growth is solid.
GDP growth is half what it was last year, sir.
The job growth is solid, and we had
job growth is a third what it was all last year, sir.
No. And private sector job growth especially. And if you'd like to talk about inflation, would you?
The inflation has been coming down. Just the inflation is good so far. We will see every economic thing I read, which is much every day, suggests the impact of the tariffs is not hit yet.
Well, why don't we look at the data rather than the hysteria, which is how I made my career.
Nothing quite as telling as Scott Bessent, Trump's Treasury Secretary, saying, "You seem not to have seen the economic data," and then going on to completely misstate all of the economic data. First off, Bessent says that GDP growth has been quite substantial. So let's look at GDP growth since Trump's been president. GDP contracted, meaning shrunk, 0.2%, meaning there was zero GDP growth and there was only GDP contraction. I'll concede that I'm not a numbers guy, but when Scott Bessent says that GDP growth has been quite substantial, what the fuck is he talking about? What GDP growth? Doesn't there actually need to be growth for there to be GDP growth? If I lose all of my money playing blackjack, would Scott Bessent say that I saw substantial growth at the casino? And this is the Treasury Secretary? He then goes on to say that job growth is solid. The average job growth during the Trump era has been 127,000 jobs added per month. The average job growth during the Biden era was 386,000 jobs added per month. That means Biden was adding 3 times as many jobs as Trump did. Oh, but those were all jobs that were recovered from losses during COVID. Okay, let's just do the jobs added in 2024, well after all of the COVID jobs were already recovered. Biden still added, on average, 186,000 jobs per month. Trump has never reached that number of jobs. Trump's best month in office so far is still 40,000 jobs short of Biden's average job growth in his last year. So either Scott Bessent doesn't know the definition of solid, or he's a liar. Take your pick. And then Scott Bessent thinks he landed some death blow by bringing up inflation. Just today, it was announced that inflation has risen to 2.4%. Yes, that number is still lower than what it was during the Biden era, but inflation spiked across the entire globe during the Biden era. Trump can fillet himself all day and pretend that inflation would have been lower if he was the president, but that's bullshit. No country was immune from a spike in inflation during that time period. And if by some miracle a country was immune, it certainly wouldn't be at the hands of this idiot cabinet that has presided over the only economic contraction in the industrialized world. The rest of the planet is watching their GDPs increase, except the United States, and yet these blowhards expect us to believe that they could have navigated us out of a high inflation post-COVID environment? Got it. And so seeing how willing Bessent is to twist himself into pretzels to lie on Donald Trump's behalf, it's probably not too surprising that he further embarrassed himself here.
The third thing I don't like is this whole thing we've been hearing a lot about today, the deficits that have been created. Now, you don't agree with the CBO. We've heard that several times. You also disagree with the Committee for Responsible Budget, who said that there's going to be a $3 trillion deficit from this. You disagree with that also, right? Yes. And you disagree with the Yale Budget Lab. You went to Yale. You don't agree with the Yale Budget Lab. They say it's going to be a $3 trillion deficit from this. Do you disagree with them also?
There are a lot of things I disagree with Yale on these.
You disagree with the Penn-Wharton budget model, who said there's going to be a $3 trillion deficit from this bill?
Yes.
You disagree with Elon Musk, who you supposedly do get along with now. It will massively increase the already gigantic deficit to $2.5 trillion and burden American citizens with crushingly unsustainable debt. Do you disagree with Mr. Musk on that issue?
Yes.
Do you disagree with Ray Dalio, who said that this is unsustainable?
I agree with Ray Dalio that we need to get our fiscal house in order.
Do you disagree with Jamie Dimon, who says it's going to cause a crack in the bond markets?
I met with Mr. Dimon the other day, and he wasn't necessarily referring to government finances.
Well, he said there's going to be a crack that's going to take place in either 6 months or 6 years. And let's ask you, when do you think that's going to happen?
I believe he was referring to market structure.
Do you think that do you disagree with Mr. Fink from BlackRock, who said this is going to be an unsustainable problem as well?
Look, I believe that we have to get our fiscal house in order.
So I guess the question here becomes, who do you trust? The Yale Budget Lab, the Penn Wharton model, Elon Musk, Jamie Dimon, Ray Dalio, all of whom say that the budget bill is going to add trillions of dollars to the debt? Or do you trust Scott Bessent, who doesn't believe it because it would be politically inconvenient to do so? Take all the time you need with that one. And yet this denial of reality is what we've come to expect from this administration. And it's not just Bessent. Here's Caroline Leavitt doing the same thing.
This bill is the most historic piece of legislation to ever move through Congress in modern history. Not only does it save nearly $2 trillion, but it also delivers on the president's key priorities. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime for our law enforcement officers and all those who are putting in extra hours to make ends meet for their families. It also ends taxes effectively on Social Security for our seniors who are dependent on that Social Security income. It also has historic investments in border security, historic funding for the Golden Dome and our national security, and so many other incredible things are packed into this bill. So now it is before the Senate. Those discussions are ongoing, but the president is not going to back down from those key priorities that he promised the American public, and they are expecting Capitol Hill to help him deliver. We made the bill through the House. We need to get it through the Senate, back to the president's desk here at the White House as soon as possible.
That it'll save $2 trillion, which sure sounds great and is also completely made up. It quite literally is a figment of this White House's imagination. There is no reputable entity, organization, modeling, or analysis that would suggest that this budget bill is anything but a drain on the economy or wouldn't add trillions of dollars to the deficit. But this administration is not interested in reality. They are only interested in using their platform to sell a tax cut for Daddy Trump to the American people. Let me be crystal clear. They are lying about what this bill will do to millions of Americans. They're lying about the fact that it'll strip healthcare away from 14 million Americans. They are lying about the fact that it will strip food assistance away to the tune of $300 billion. They are lying about the fact that it'll completely explode the deficit, all because they want to pay less in taxes. So they will make up whatever they have to make sure this thing sounds good, but it's not. Here's Senator Mark Kelly putting it quite clearly.
Well, let me just start, Brian, in saying that this is a shit sandwich of a bill. It really is. And if it passes, millions of Americans are going to have to eat this. And that's in the form of losing their health care coverage through Medicaid. That's kids, that's pregnant moms, that's upwards of 13 million people.
And let's be clear, despite how dumb Republicans think Americans are, it doesn't seem to be working out as well as they think.
The communicating on this one beautiful bill, here's some recent polling as it moves its way through Congress, and we know President Trump really wants to see this go through. Support or oppose, you've got 27 at support, 53 at oppose, and 20 say they don't know.
So Trump's mouthpieces will trot themselves out and say quite literally whatever they have to say to make this palatable, but it's not. It is a scam, just like it's always a scam. Trump does not care about regular people. He will promise the world just like he always does. In his first term, he promised an infrastructure law that never materialized, a middle-class tax cut that never materialized, a jobs boom that never materialized, a manufacturing renaissance that never materialized. But he did make time for a tax cut for himself and his billionaire pals. And now he is doing the exact same thing, promising reduced costs and cheaper groceries and lower rent, but he's not delivering on any of those things. Quite the opposite. The only thing he's offering that he's actually delivering on, yet again, is a tax cut for himself and his billionaire pals. It is always about himself. He just knows how to frame it like it's for you. But rest assured, Donald Trump is focused on delivering for one person and one person only, Donald Trump. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.